A twist of fate brings an infamous male offender face to face with their own demons as they transition into a woman behind bars. Surrounded by fellow inmates who don't know the truth, their journey becomes a thrilling exploration of identity, acceptance, and redemption. It would be difficult to imagine being a criminal desperate for a fresh start, willing to go to extreme measures to sort out the past. This is a story about incarcerated individuals who underwent a profound transformation, transforming from male to female. As we begin our journey inside the intimidating world of the prison system, we begin to lose sight of the lines that separate justice, rehabilitation, and identity. With unexpected twists, moral dilemmas, and heated debates, this novel is a gripping read. As we unravel their motivations, challenges, and consequences, join me as we discover the reasons for their deeds and the challenges they faced. Trans woman found guilty of rape moved to men's prison. After an intervention by Nicola Sturgeon, transgender woman Isla Bryson, who raped 2 women before transitioning, has been transferred from Scotland's all-female Cornton Vale prison to a male facility. A report stating the offender had been transferred to the women's prison on Tuesday ahead of sentencing triggered outrage across the political and campaigning spectrum on Thursday, when the First Minister told MSPs that Bryson would not be incarcerated there either short or long term.
The reality is, this double rapist, this beast, is in a women's prison right now. We think it's wrong.
I can confirm to Parliament that this prisoner will not be incarcerated at Cornton Vale Women's Prison.
It's important not to suggest, even inadvertently, trans women pose an inherent threat to women, said Sturgeon. Sturgeon told Scottish Conservative leader Douglas Ross that rapists cannot be incarcerated in a female prison after being repeatedly pressed on the issue at First Minister's questions on Thursday. Adding that it was an operational matter for the Scottish Prison Service, she said, "The Scottish Prison Service is in the process of implementing its decision not to incarcerate this prisoner at Cornton Vale." Deputy Justice Secretary Keith Brown told MSPs on Wednesday that he trusted the prison service to make the right decision, which Ross described as a screeching U-turn. During a meeting involving Brown shortly before she announced that Bryson was moving from Cornton Vale to Holyrood, Sturgeon made a rare intervention. According to Sturgeon's spokesperson, she did not direct the prison service to move Bryson to a male prison, but added, "I do expect and I think the prison service might expect ministers' views to be taken into account. It is unlikely that Sturgeon took part directly in that meeting, and ministers rarely take part in decisions about individual prisoners, but Sturgeon believes women's prisons should not hold rapists." There was widespread anger on Tuesday, as Bryson, who appeared in court in 2019 as Adam Graham, was known to both victims by that name, was being remanded in a female prison. In The Guardian's understanding, the court service designates the prison to which an offender is initially sent. In this case, it is up to the prison service to determine where the offender should be located. On Tuesday, Bryson was placed in segregation while an initial multidisciplinary case conference assessed the risks and considered a long-term replacement. The case vindicated opponents' concerns about the lack of safeguards in the Scottish Government's gender recognition changes, which the UK government blocked from receiving royal assent due to safety concerns. In response to Ross's question about the safety of female prisoners being in the same facility as double rapists, Sturgeon replied, "To start with, in general, prisoners who pose a risk of sexual offending are segregated from their peers, including during risk assessment periods. It's not automatic for a trans woman convicted of a crime to serve her sentence in a female prison, even if they have a gender recognition certificate. Risk assessments are conducted on each case individually, and the safety of other prisoners is paramount throughout the process. In general, and perhaps most importantly, I heard the Chief Executive of Rape Crisis Scotland say yesterday, I don't see how it's possible to have a rapist in a female prison, and so I agree with the statement." But Sturgeon also stressed it was important to avoid suggesting, even inadvertently, that trans women are a threat to women during such exchanges. Adding to this, She said that predatory men have always been a danger to women. As with any group in society, a small number of trans people will offend, and when that involves sexual offending, public concern is understandable. In a 6-day trial at Glasgow's High Court, Bryson from Clydebank, West Dunbartonshire, was found guilty on Tuesday of 2 charges of rape. It was alleged that Bryson raped 2 women, one in Clydebank in 2016 and one in Drumchapel, Glasgow in 2019, after meeting them online. As a result, prosecutors accused Bryson of preying on women in vulnerable situations. It will close within weeks, with inmates already being moved out as part of a wider renovation of the women's estate, which includes the opening of a purpose-built facility in Stirling and the opening of 2 community custody units in Dundee and Glasgow last year. A transgender rapist has been transferred to a women's prison following a sex change. HMP Bronzefield in Ashford, Surrey, has been assigned to Jessica Winfield, formerly known as Martin Ponting. Her life sentence was serving at a top-security Whitemoor prison in Cambridgeshire when she was convicted of rape. When Winfield first changed her gender, she complained that she was being oppressed because of her transsexuality. Inside Time, a prisoner's paper, reported 10 years ago that she had a hard time because of my sexuality, possibly due to the lack of understanding and empathy. I have changed my name to that of a female to show the authorities and everyone concerned that I'm very serious about my gender and that I do not feel right as a man, she wrote at the time. Nevertheless, one of Ponting's victims described what happened as diabolical because her attacker was able to change sex. She told the Sun newspaper, "There are not enough words to describe him and the evil he has done. There is something diabolical about them allowing him to have a sex change, and it is diabolical that he may be released this year. There is no change in his brain, despite the physical changes he's gone through." In a statement, the prison service said that it does not comment on individuals. This case highlights the injustice we face in our justice system, according to the campaign group Voice for Victims. On Twitter, the group stated, "Rapist has sex change surgery funded by NHS while victims struggle to access treatment and recovery." As a transgender inmate, this is not the first time he or she has relocated from a male prison to a female one. Prisoners are assigned to prison based on their gender as defined by UK law. The gender of the prisoner is usually specified on the prisoner's birth certificate. The prison service is legally required to move a prisoner to the prison that matches his or her gender if the prisoner holds a gender recognition certificate. Following the death of Ricky Thompson, an inmate in Leeds' male prison, in November of last year, the government announced it would re-examine its policy on transgender prisoners. The Prisons and Probation Ombudsman recommended in January that where transgender prisoners are sent should be based on their individual needs and the possibility of them being with their required gender. Jane Ann Pilley, also known as John Pilley, became the first inmate in England and Wales to be granted permission to undergo sex change surgery in 1999. As a result of Pilley's attempted murder and kidnapping of a taxi driver, he was currently serving a life sentence. Later, it was reported that he had decided to become a man again and was waiting to undergo his second NHS operation. Approximately 80 transgender people are believed to be in prison in England and Wales. Thank you for joining me on this thrilling exploration of criminals. Remember to like this video, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned for our upcoming episodes as we continue to uncover captivating true crime stories. See ya.